Imagine trying to rig a camera, like directly over a sizzling drum grill at a food festival. Or maybe bolting it to the rafters of a really dusty indoor rodeo.
Yeah, that is a total nightmare scenario for gear.
Right. You usually have to make this really painful choice. You either sacrifice your video quality with, a cheap action camera, or you risk destroying a $10,000 piece of professional gear.
Exactly. And that is why today we are taking a deep dive into a product page from HDTVSupply. We are looking closely at the AIDA Imaging HD-100A-VF POV camera.
Yeah, our mission today is to decode these specs. We want to figure out how this specific device bridges that gap between high-end capture and just sheer survivability in unpredictable environments.
Well, the specs immediately set a professional gust line. I mean, we are looking at uncompressed 1080p video pushing up to 60 frames per second over HDMI.
Which is really solid.
Oh, absolutely. But the real story here is how you actually frame that shot when you are stuck in a difficult location.
All right, and that brings us to what I kind of think of as the Swiss Army knife of lenses on this thing.
Okay.
The 2.8 to 12 millimeter varifocal lens.
Yeah, and we should be clear here for everyone listening. Varifocal does not mean it has some smooth motorized zoom, like a massive broadcast camera.
No, definitely not. It means you manually adjust the focal length to exactly what you need. So say you want a wide shot of a whole kitchen or maybe a really tight crop on a cutting board. You set it, refocus, and lock it in.
Which is huge. It totally saves you from having to carry like a dozen different fixed lens cameras in your bag.
Totally. But I actually have to push back on the source material here for a second because the math is honestly kind of confusing.
Oh.
How so? Well, in one paragraph, it says the lens goes from a roomy 80-degree wide to a 32-degree zoomed-in view. But then, just a few lines later, it claims a field of view of 120 degrees wide. So, which is it?
Yeah. That is a classic optical marketing trick, actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The 80-degree figure is likely the horizontal field of view, so what you actually see side to side on your screen. That 120-degree number is almost certainly the diagonal field of view, measured from corner to corner.
Oh, I see. So they just use the bigger number because it sounds better.
Exactly. Retail sheets often throw in the diagonal number because a larger number sounds more impressive on paper. But, the actual takeaway is still extreme adaptability in this tiny 1-pound package.
Right. But putting a complex, adjustable lens into a dusty environment sounds like a recipe for a jammed mechanism. I mean, how does the casing actually protect all those moving parts?
You have to look at the IP54 rating for that.
Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. In that ingress protection system, the 5 means it is heavily protected against dust. It's enough that a dusty rodeo will not ruin the internal mechanisms.
Nice. And the 4?
The 4 means it can handle splashing water from literally any direction.
Wow. And splashing water actually explained a really clever design choice on this unit, the 3-foot breakout cable.
Oh, yeah, that is a lifesaver.
Right. Instead of plugging your HDMI and power directly into the back of the camera where moisture could easily just seep right into the ports, you make those sensitive connections 3 feet away.
Yeah, ideally tucked behind a beam or wrapped in weatherproofing. Combine that environmental protection with its low light capability, and it is a beast.
I think the sheet said it can operate down to 0.1 lux, right?
Yes. And to put that into perspective for you, 0.1 lux is roughly the illumination of a full moon on a clear night.
That is insane. Add in the top and bottom tripod mounts, and you literally have a tool designed to be rigged in dark, dirty, wet venues, and it'll still pull a clean signal.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about what this means for a production budget.
Oh, this is the best part. HDTVSupply lists the MSRP at just $450, and they actively highlight perks like a 10% off discount phone, free same-day shipping in the USA, and a 2-year warranty.
That pricing structure genuinely disrupts the professional AV market. I mean, historically, buying rugged, low-light, varifocal broadcast cameras required significant capital expenditure.
Right, you had to get approval for that kind of spend.
Exactly. But by pricing this under $500 and bundling it with fast shipping and pre-installed firmware to just remove all that friction, retailers are essentially turning specialized survival gear into a commodity.
Meaning if a stray baseball shatters one at a game, a production company can literally just replace it the next day without blowing the month's budget.
Precisely.
It really turns a delicate art into a logistical workhorse. You get that manual varifocal flexibility. It's protected by an IP54 shell, completely solving the headache of having to baby your gear just to get a professional angle.
Which leaves you with an interesting question to ponder.
Well, lay it on us.
In a modern tech landscape that is just so deeply obsessed with chasing delicate 4K and 8K sensors, when does a rock-solid, weather-resistant 1080p Survivor actually become the most valuable tool in your entire kit?
That is a great question to end on. Because sometimes getting the shot is entirely about simply surviving the environment.